Hi, thank you for joining me once again. And today's topic that I'm going to discuss with you is going to be extremely interesting. Interesting because A, I am fascinated with that topic, and B, I think it's quite relevant to all of us, including myself, people working in executive firms, people working in corporate, people working in small businesses, people who are not working professionally but always grapple with this issue. And the way I thought I would deal with this or try to throw some light is by using some principles that I have learned over a bit of time and talk about Stoicism. Some of you might have heard what is Stoicism. And what we're going to do is learn a little bit about Stoicism. There are quite a few contemporary Stoics who speak and talk about it. And if this subject of Stoicism is liked by you or you want to be curious about it, you can always find some videos and books which are easily available out there. And then look at Stoicism from a point of view of time management, because like I said, this is a topic which almost every one of us grapples with, and there are simple strategies or simple tenets that we can use to better manage our time and better productivity right now. And let's jump into it right away and see what the Stoics have to say about it. So like I said, this is something that is all about lessons from the Stoics. And what do the Stoics say? Before we get into the Stoics, let's look at what's happening in our world. Digital and remote is the new normal. There's no question about it. Things have gone out of the whack. It started very slowly, but now it seems to be that it's going to settle in like this for quite some time. And we don't really know what is going to be the new normal, as they call it. Everything is shifting and rapidly changing, and we are settling in this new normal. And then a few weeks later, something is going to change again, and everything will go out of whack one more time. So it's trying times, is disturbing times. At the same time, a lot of new things are happening our way. Earlier, we used to take we used to take home to work, in that sense that we used to go in a workplace, but if something was to coming from home, we used to neglect it, sometimes give it less attention because we were in a workplace and we didn't want it to get kind of encumbered by something from home. So we had that boundary. But now we are working from home, and there is now really no boundary between what is work, what is home. Everybody's on 24/7. Everybody is on a device constantly. Interestingly, you're watching this also on a device. So that's happening, and that's happening to all of us. How do we get adapted to this? Now, some of us have got adapted to it very, very swiftly. Some of us are struggling, and some of us have mastered it. And there are ways and means to do this. So let's look at what, from a principle of Stoicism, what can happen. So this is what our typical day looks like. There is a family thing that's happening, there is work that is going on, and there is business results that we need to. And if there are other responsibilities which are not on the screen, then you have to work for those also. The responsibility as a human being, as a provider, as somebody who is a spouse, a father, a son, a sister, you are responsible for certain things. And there are three, as I categorize them. There is one responsibility towards your family and yourself, taking care of yourself. That has continued. It is not going to go away. Then there is a responsibility of being a team member and as a team leader. So if you're in leadership position, there's always something that you have to do more than what a team member does. But every team leader is part of some team. And even if you're a CEO, you're part of some other team. There is a board of directors, so you're part of that team. So there is always somebody where you are a member and somewhere you're a leader, and that responsibility also stays. Then the last and the most important one, for some, business results are very, very critical. So if you're a business owner, if you're a corporate executive, if you are running a small shop, or even if you're running any sort of business, you're responsible for results. Now, whether you are even a salesperson, you're responsible for results. So that is not going to go away. In fact, the pressures, as I speak and I hear from the market, is rising, and we can't do anything about it. Just the way it is. So let's look at Stoicism. I wanted to talk about this topic, and it's an interesting. I would definitely want to hear your views at the end of the video, and do share and comment about what you felt about this topic, because it's a little out of the normal. Because Stoicism is considered as something which is really a little somber, a little serious, a little non-emotional in that sense. And just to give you a brief history, you can see that it is a very old philosophy, a very, very old philosophy of like 3rd century BC. And some of the famous Stoics, if you have read something about it, are Marcus Aurelius, Emperor Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, and Diogenes. Diogenes was famous during the Alexander the Great, and there are some stories about them which are fascinating. Like I said, if you want them, you can always read through them, and maybe I'll be doing some more videos around Stoicism, especially with the stories of Stoicism. Uh, Stoicism in a nutshell. It now when I read this, it's like looks as if it is very dry and very difficult to digest. It's like endurance of pain or hardship without the display of feelings and without complaint. Now that's very idealistic, but that's possible. These masters have done it in the past, and some of them are currently doing it right away in this current times. And it doesn't mean that you should not get affected by pain. It's just about are you dealing and enduring pain. And when I mean pain, it could be physical pain, it could be emotional pain, it could be mental pain, it could be anything that is happening around you. How do you endure with that? And that's what Stoicism is all about. It is a science. It is not even a science, more of a philosophy of how you deal with life that is all external out to you and what's internal. Yeah, it has some relationship to Buddhism in some form, some amount of, but this is not a religious discourse. It's all about philosophies of how people are using them. This is one of the most famous Stoics, Epictetus, and he's one of my favorites, and that's why I have him on the screen. And he has one tenet, which is kind of, to me, the pillar of Stoicism, the way I look at it, and I thought I'll share that with you. And he talks about it as the dichotomy of control, which means things in your control and things not in your control. Now, there is always a distinction between these two, but somehow we forget this. We tend to neglect, and we get worked up, we get angry, we get jolted, we get disturbed by things outside of us. Now, just something happens and you getting angry. Getting angry is in your control. Something happening outside of you is not in your control. So how are you going to change that? Now, this is the simplest example. Sometimes business results, you will say, are they in my control? Are they not in my control? The results might not be in exactly totally in your control, but the efforts and the activities that you're going to do, or tasks that you're going to do, or the goals that the milestones that you're going to achieve are in your control to a great degree. If you're a leader, then they are in control of you and your team. So there is some amount of control, and there is some amount of absolute no control on things that are going to happen. Just like the weather, you can't predict the weather, but if it rains, it rains. The only thing that you have in your control is you carry an umbrella or a raincoat. That's in your control. Now, that's the simplest way I can explain this. But this is very fascinating. If you can accept this, I think life will become extremely sane and quiet and nice and peaceful, because all of it is, to me, in that two statements: what is in your control, what is not in your control. If it is not in your control, don't bother about it. If it's in your control, act on it and change it. And that's the simplest way you can look at Stoicism. If you don't want to learn anything else, and if you don't get any value from this session, I think these two statements are the most important statements. And if they help you, I'll be more than happy. If they are helping me, greatly. Yeah. Now let's look at the key principles of Stoicism. Always do the right thing. Now this is like a little high road. What does doing the right thing mean? Doing the right thing means that whatever is not illegal, whatever is unethical, don't do it. Just stay course, follow the law. Don't try to cut corners. Don't try to cheat yourself in doing things that are not good for you. So always do the right thing. And inherently, within our being, we know what is the right thing. So there is no education required to tell you what is the right thing. But if you understand what is right thing, always stay on course, and you will never be out of sync in what's needed to be done or how you operate in this world. The Stoic loves everything. Now, what does loving everything mean? It's not that you're going to be accepting of everything that is going on around wrong in your life or long outside, but it is beyond your control. So you love everything from the fact that this is happening. Now let me do something about it. So a Stoic looks at life in a very different way. He loves everything because everything is all about nature, everything that is happening outside. Uh, and he gives it a flavor of love. And when you give anything a flavor of love, it always tempers down, which can be handled in a really way. Now, love as a subject is a different matter altogether, but a Stoic loves everything. Uh, he has low expectations. Now, again, I'm talking about business results, and I'm saying a Stoic has low expectation. Now, this doesn't mean that you are going to lowball your targets and say, okay, a Stoicism says we should have no expectations or low expectations, so let's perform less. No, it doesn't mean that. It just means that don't try to get so attached about results that you kind of break yourself out of it. And having low expectation means that if things are going to go outside of your control, then they will, and don't get troubled by it. So have low expectations about what's going to happen, but doesn't mean that you're going to lose course and not stay and focus on your goals. So it is the verbiage might be a little different, but having low expectation means don't get hurt very quickly. Yeah. The obstacle is the way. Now, this is again a fascinating thing that there is a saying which says, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Now, this is something of that sort. Obstacle is the way is whatever is your challenge, the answers lies within that. If the moment you can look at your challenge or obstacle in a very, very objective manner, you will try finding answers in it. But if you get worked up, then it's going to carve you down. It's going to completely bulldoze you, and it's not going to help you or the people around you, and you will become miserable. So the obstacle is the way, is a principle that Stoics follow. The ego is the enemy. I don't think I need to say anything about this. A lot of things that are happening around in our lives and in the world, I think ego is the primary problem or the primary actor that makes things happen. So ego is the enemy. The moment you are getting worked up, it is your ego that is getting worked up. It happens with me too. And whenever you recognize that, stop and move back, because the ego can drive you to do things which are not very pleasant. Yes, ego has its merit. Ego helps you get results. Ego gives you that drive, but ego can always become a villain in no time. And in a snap of a button, uh, things can change. Yeah. So, and last but not the least, we are all interrelated. It is all now. This is common in many philosophies, and Stoicism is not any different. That whatever is going to happen to me, it's going to impact somebody, or whatever is going to happen to somebody is going to impact to me. And look at it. Uh, COVID is a great example to show us that every one of us is interrelated. It's not taking any view of that you live here and you are doing this kind of work, so you are immune to it. Your immunity is in your control. It's not what your identity is. So all of us are interrelated in that sense. The virus is not differentiating between any one of us. So it's open for all. You got to take care of it. That's how it is. So we are all interrelated in that sense. And last but not least, memento mori. Now, this means we are all going to die. Again, like I said, Stoicism looks like a little dark philosophy, but it is not. When you start studying it, you really realize there are tremendous amount of value in Stoicism that you can get out of it. So Stoicism says memento mori, that we're all going to die. And so what are we going to do about it? And the moment you know there is an expiration date coming, we don't know when it's going to be, our life or outlook towards life changes. So we actually start doing things the way they are supposed to be done, keeping in mind that there is a time ticking, there is a clock that we are working against, and we're going to reach it at some point. So what are you going to do in between the time that you're born and the time that you're going to go away? What's that you're going to do? How is it going to impact your life, and what are you going to contribute towards it? So that's something about Stoicism. Now, let's look at how this Stoicism philosophy is going to work in terms of time. And I'm not going to give you any kind of high preaching methods of doing this in this video. This is all about what the Stoics say and how I interpret them in terms of time management. And I find them fascinating. I apply it in my life and it works for me. I'm sure they will work for you as well. So again, I'm using two greats, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, who are very famous in terms of their writings. Marcus Aurelius is famous for his meditations, which he wrote when he was an emperor, and he captured all of that. And Seneca is a person whose letters of Seneca are quite famous. He has written many treatises, and they're fascinating reads, very heavy, but they're very fascinating to read. Yeah. So I'm going to use these two greats to explain the principles of time. So words of wisdom from Marcus Aurelius, and I'm going to use their quotes and then give an interpretation of what I feel they mean. So here is one. Time is sort of a river passing events, and strong is its current. No sooner is a thing brought to sight than it is swept by, and another takes its place, and this too will be swept away. I think the words explain it really, really well. In terms of everything is passing, nothing is static. It's like a river that the same water that you're going to step your feet in. Heraclitus says that when you're stepping in the water, it's not going to be the same. Neither the human is the same, neither the water is the same, because it's all in the flow. So how do we actually use this tenet in terms of our life. So just if you have a lot of things coming your way, whether it's a desk or your office or your means of work, what are the things that are moving across your desk without you getting a chance to act on them completely? Things happen just because they happen, but you're not fully engaged with it. So if you can get engaged with those things, you can actually, to a degree, stop time because now you're fully focused on that activity. So here is a reflection that you can take with you. What are the things that are moving across your desk without you getting a chance to act on them completely? Yeah, this is an exercise that you can do at the end of the video, or you could do it as we speak. The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Something similar to what Epictetus spoke about, the dichotomy of control. How often do you waste time hankering for things beyond your control? And I think there are enough research that is done by Harvard and other big institutes which say that so much productivity is lost by drama that people actually don't work for all the 8 hours or 9 hours that they spend in the work time. And a lot of things is wasted around things which are beyond their control in terms of cribbing, in terms of coffee talks, in terms of whatever that they do or whatever that we do in terms of wasting our time. And so how much time do you waste hankering for things beyond your control? That's something that you could look at. Think of yourself as dead. This is related to Memento Mori. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now what's left? Take it and live it properly. Now, again, this is a little dark, but if you look at yourself as now is a bonus day to work, what are you going to do about it? So how do you design your priorities? What is your criteria for designing priorities? Because there's only so much that you can achieve in a particular time frame or a particular day. So how do you look at achieving that, and how do you design criteria for designing priorities? Not that everything is a priority. How do you include and exclude? That is very, very critical. So that's an important reflection that you can work on, all related to time in one way or the other. You're better off not giving small things more time than they deserve. Somebody has said that if it doesn't matter in 5 years, don't waste 5 minutes on it. Yeah. And this is a modern way of saying it, but again, look at how much time do you lose on the trivial. Now, trivial could be things that are not adding any value to you or your life, but they just uh, suck you up, and 1 minute, 2 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and some things, and it piles up to few hours in a day, sometimes more hours in a week, and sometimes a month in a year. And if you aggregate that, there is so much trivial time lost on things that are just not needed to be focusing on. And if you have those, the primary thing is you need to have inventory of what you're doing. So one way you could do this is looking at what exactly are you doing in a particular time frame. Could be a day, could be a week, could be a month, could be a year. Just look at how much time you're wasting on trivial things. Just that, do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. Like I said, the tenet about do the right thing. But what is your system to gauge the right thing? This is also very critical. How do you decide what is right or what is wrong, in that sense of right and wrong? And what you mean by right is what is relevant for you to do right now in this moment, what is good for your business, good for your life. That's the right thing to do. If you're going to focus on something which has no relevance to you at the moment, then it's going to be wastage of time. It has not adding no value to your current times. So then it's wrong. It might not be wrong in the ethical sense of it, but it's wrong in terms of time. So you're wasting it. So how do you gauge, or what is your system to gauge the right thing to be doing in this time? That's Marcus Aurelius. Now let's look at Seneca. Again, he has some deep thoughts around time management. This is one of the best one that I can think of, is that it is not that we have a short time to live, but what we waste, that we waste a lot of it. So it is, we are not given a short life, but we make it short, and we are not ill supplied, but wasteful of it. Life is long if you know how to use it. Now, it says that when you're doing something with real flow, time expands. And this is what happens. We waste a lot of time. Reflection here is how much time do you waste on a daily basis? Yeah. What is the time that you are wasting on a daily basis? People are frugal and guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of one thing in which they are got to be stingy, and that's again time management. So are you diligent with your time? Are you going to take efforts in terms of managing your time? Is time seeping out? Is somebody else taking away your time? Many a times people think that I'm helping somebody, but sometimes people push their agendas and take time away from you. So you got to be more diligent in trying to say no to things which don't require your effort and your involvement, and just be diligent about your time. That doesn't mean you're going to be snooty and hard with others, but just be diligent of how, what you include and what you exclude again. Nobody works out the value of time. Men use it lavishly as if it's cost nothing. We have to be more careful in preserving what will cease at an unknown point. It will cease for you. It will not cease for perpetuity as time, but it will cease for you because you will run out of time. Time will not run out of you. Yeah. So time will continue. It is going to continue even after we are there or not. So what is the value of your time? How do you give value to your own time? That's very, very critical for you to measure. And if you don't value your time, don't be surprised if others don't value it as well. Putting things off is the biggest waste of life. Procrastination, as we call it, the greatest obstacle of living is expectancy. We always live in the future, what hangs in the future and loses today. You're arranging what lies in fortune's control, which is fate or something will happen, and abandoning what lies in yours in terms of what you can do. So, what are you looking at? To what goal are you straining? As in, what is your focus? What is your primary goal in life? If you're not working towards that, you're wasting time in a big way. So how much time is lost in coming up to the right decision is how I look at it. That how do you include, exclude? What is the right decision? Where are you going to spend your time? If you take your goals very seriously, then you're not going to have any liberty to waste any time, because then you're cheating on your goal. And if you don't look at that, then nobody is going to be blamed other than you if you're wasting your time. I don't think anybody else can be complaining about they took my time away. No, I gave my time to them, and that's in my control. That could be a choice if you want to, but if you do that, then it's going to come at something, at the cost of something. So you have to be very, very diligent about how much time is lost in coming up with the right decision. Do I do it or do I don't do it? And what are the criteria for doing it? The whole future lies in uncertainty. Live immediately. This is a very urgency, sense of urgency kind of thing that nothing, you don't know. And right now we all don't know what's going to happen. So live immediately. Don't waste time that tomorrow maybe something will change and I'll do it tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. It's called as a mythical land of Monday morning. It doesn't really come that way. It changes constantly. So do whatever you want to do right now in this moment, at this moment, and don't waste any of it. You would say, is it so easy that as I speak? Yes, it is easy if you make your priorities, if you give it your weightage, if you value your time, then it is very much possible. There are a lot of people who do it, and I do it to a great degree. So yes, if you value your time and don't waste it, you can produce a lot of things that you are very, very proud of. Again, if you're in leadership position and there is a constant complaint that leaders give that I am doing things right, but my team isn't. So it is your responsibility of leadership to work intelligently in what is given to them and not waste time fantasizing about a world of flawless people and perfect choices. It doesn't exist. You got to make do with what you have. Yes, you can spend time on training them, you can spend time on coaching them, you can spend time on mentoring them, but there is a limitation to what people can do. Everything that is in your control, you can do about it and guide them to make sure that they're delivering what they are promised to deliver or expected to deliver. And then you're free of all the burdens that bother you or the stress that you create. One important thing out of all of this is, what do I work and what is my life? The, the way I look at work life, the balance is internal. There's no external balance. Sadhguru talks about there is life and there is work in it. Everything is life and there is work in it. You choose to do certain things with your time, and that's called work, because you either get some reward for it, some money for it, or something that is of value to it. So you choose to do it, or sometimes you're forced to do it. But the balance is internal. Unless the balance happens internally, the change would not happen. So the balance is very, very internal, and time also is an internal balance. Time is not external. Now people will look at clocks and watches and calendars, but the balance of time is internal. That's how I look at time. It is nothing external. It is all about your priorities, how you are focusing on your work, and if that works, then the balance is internal. Otherwise everything is external, and whenever it's external, you have no control over it. So the moment you start taking control, and you can bring that by various means. You can do breathing exercises, you can do meditation, you can do many things that are available to you to focus on internal balance. And that probably is a topic for another video. But when I look at it, work life, the balance is internal. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. I know that you will have a lot of questions around it, and uh, it's not an easy topic to look at, stoicism and time. And I went really, really fast in terms of covering it up, but I'll be more than happy to answer your queries. You can comment, mail me, write to me on my social media handles. I'll be happy to handle those queries with you. And Stoicism is a deep subject. I know we have just touched upon it, But if you feel that there is something more, I'll be coming up with more videos and more thoughts around Stoicism and time management as a principle of how you can manage time. So thank you very much for giving your time and listening patiently. And if you have reached till here and watched the video fully, and if you liked it, I would recommend and I would be pleased and I would be grateful if you could share it with people who would get some value out of it as well. Thank you very much and wish you the best.